Hi, I'm Christina, and this is New Wayz podcast. Today, my guest is Sarah Wakabayashi. Thank you for being here with me.
Thank you for having me. This is such a joy. So special.
I am so excited to dive into this topic with you. You are just such a light ever since I've met you. And I feel like you can really bring a lot of grounded insight to the human experience, is kind of what we're going to be discussing. So, on that note, to get started, define what you think the human experience is.
Oh my gosh, that's a question that I would be asking. It is to, I think, experience, to witness, to feel everything that we all go through and also what we all avoid.
Mm-hmm.
I think in particular, what we avoid is probably the most important.
Okay. Why would you say that's the most important?
Because we avoid it rather than embracing it.
I get that, but most people avoid it because they're like, I don't want to feel it. I don't want the pain.
Yeah.
And well, for me at least, my most influential moments have been the moments where I hit the wall, where I actually feel like I'm dying, where I feel like there's no way out. You really show yourself what you're made of, and you get the most beautiful lessons and insights, and it often brings you on a journey you didn't know you needed.
Yeah.
You know? And also, too, in regards to the human experience, when you kind of brought this topic to me, one thing that popped in my mind is like, I feel like all of us love to question, why are we here, right? So besides how to deal with the human experience, which is like going through the rough things, why do you think the purpose of what do you think the purpose of human life is?
Oh my gosh, it's so deep, isn't it? And yet I feel like it's also so multifaceted and really quite simple, but I think, and I don't know, because I also feel like, my purpose or my why is going to be different than yours.
Of course. Yeah.
Like we all have different gifts, we all have different treasures, we all have different things to share. And I think it's up to perhaps you to define that for you and be able to live with that and settle into that place. For me, especially as time goes on and I get wiser, I don't want to say older, I've been like shifting that, because what is age? As I experience new things and as I would like to think that I'm getting wiser, a lot of the things that I hear, especially with, our older, like just older mentors, it could be a conversation. As a matter of fact, I had a conversation with this really wonderful man, and he was my Uber driver. And, he was just saying, like, the older I get, I just want peace. I just want peace. And anyone who doesn't give me peace, I stay away from. And I thought that was so simple. And then I continue to have similar conversations. And that word has kept popping up over and over and over. And so there's something to wanting peace and what that, feels like and what that looks like for everyone. His peace was to have the love of his life and to just live a very simple, just a very simple life with connection and ease. And because, for him, it's like he had already done all the resistance in his younger age and made all the mistakes, as you will. And so in that moment when we were talking, he just focused on peace. He's like, I just work for peace in my life.
That is so beautiful. This is what I love people's stories, is because just from that, I can pick it apart in so many different directions. One being is, when I think about the human experience, to be honest with you, is I think that every one of us is here for a different reason. And I think that's so beautiful. It's whatever way spirit wants to express whatever you're meant on this earth to do. And you do have to find your own journey and what works best for you. I do think one thing that's been prevalent in my life is leading with love is a huge thing that I love to follow too. Is I'm just like, as long as I listen to the synchronicities around me and what's in my heart and move forward with intention in that way, like everything's gonna unfold. But the one thing that I've found peace with is that life is constantly changing also. So I think peace is such a big part of the human experience, because things are going to happen regardless. That's the only thing that's consistent in life, right? Is that nothing's consistent. In a moment, things can change. And that might seem scary to people, but I actually find it peaceful knowing that things can change every second and learning how to accept what's happening to you, That's my version of peace, at least. And I feel like in a world right now where a lot of people do feel a little congested and chaotic, peace is what brings you kind of like happiness and joy, as well as like guidance on how to move forward. I feel like it's really, really easy to get caught up in the world these days. And to me, what peace brings me is clarity.
Yeah.
So I love how you said like kind of leading with peace. And I love how you got that from an Uber driver, for one.
Oh, you would be quite surprised at how many conversations I have with most of my Lyft and Uber drivers. And one time, I met this gentleman and I had a coffee and he smelled the coffee. And so our entire conversation was the quality of coffee. And he's like, well, if you like coffee, then you would love like my country. And I was like, where are you from? And he goes, St. Lucia. I was like, where is that? I had to look it up on the
Isn't that
map.
the Virgin Islands?
Caribbean.
Oh, Caribbean. Okay.
Yeah. And in that moment, I made a decision that I was going to go to St. Lucia off of our beautiful conversation because he was so loving and so grounded and so kind. And you could tell he was like a father and a wonderful husband. I mean, I've had conversations where like I start crying or they start crying. I've had conversations where, before the ride stops, I had a Lyft driver really young and he was so inspired by our conversation. And as I was, about to leave, he's like, can I say a prayer with you?
Stop.
And so we said a prayer in the car. And, I think for me, one of the things that I think can add or relate to with peace is how do you give back with your heart? How do you give back with your mind? How do you give back with your soul? Knowing that, like you said, things change inevitably. But if you're really just taking the moment, I mean, if you're in an Uber for 20, 30, however long it's going to be, might as well leverage it and connect with other humans because you never know their story. You never know where it's going to lead. I mean, one of my Uber drivers led me to St. Lucia and I had an incredible time on this beautiful volcanic island that I'll like never forget. So I think it's just taking opportunity and like allowing the uncertainty to unfold for you if you just show up and say yes.
I think that's so beautiful because that's something that over the years I've learned too is I'm like, you actually never know what beauty is going to come from just a random conversation. Like I'll start conversations with people walking on the street. I won't necessarily go out of my way to force a conversation.
Yeah.
But if you're open to it, a lot of times it just naturally comes to you. And if I was in an Uber and somebody's like, can I say a prayer with you? Me personally, that would just melt my heart. And who knows what, like, I don't know how you were feeling in that moment, but I do have my days as everybody does. And I'm like, maybe that's something that I actually really needed in that moment. I can't tell you how many times people have told me something where I'm like, I really needed to hear that. And I didn't even know I needed to hear it. And it definitely just like warms my soul. And it's kind of, I feel like the reason why we're all here is to be connected as well as like help each other. As we were talking about a few moments ago, like when you actually accept help from people, which can come in any way, shape, or form, life just gets more beautiful and it comes more easy.
Yeah.
And I know from my previous life, I call it my previous life, like my early 20s, to be honest with you. I used to struggle so much with opening up to people and allowing things to happen to me, as well as in my previous life, if I was in an Uber and somebody tried to talk to me, I was in the mindset where I'm like, oh, I just want quiet because that was kind of my peace, but I was also in a chaotic state.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, how would you suggest people allow those experiences to happen in their life if they're just in a place where they've never actually tried to talk to their Uber driver? They've never allowed life to happen to them. They just feel like they're constantly in survival or like they have to be doing things.
I think it takes a certain amount of consciousness. And I think a big action step that you can take for probably the day-to-day average person is like put your phone down.
Yeah.
Put your phone down and just be in silence for a few minutes because that's what I do. When I get into an Uber, I will immediately kind of assess my environment because if I'm going to be in this environment for however many minutes or long it's going to take me, then I'm going to kind of gauge and feel out what the environment is happening for me. So, some drivers are very busy on their phones or I'm like, okay, this is not the time and the place. So it's okay, I'll do my own thing. There are moments when I've gotten in and, sometimes like a lot of retired people that just drive for connection, actually, I've met. And it just makes their day just to have someone to talk to. And I'm like, wow, like I got to be that person, not just for them, but I also learned so much from this person who is so much older than me and so much more wise and have had certain experiences that I'm like, okay, now I can implement this and consider it into my life and how that would impact me. And so, I mean, action step, put your phone down and just gauge your environment. Like what is going on? Because, sometimes we're not assessing our environment and we just kind of go in and then we realize like, oh, maybe that wasn't a good situation. Just even taking like 30 seconds just to be still and feel what is happening to you, for you. And you can kind of tell. And, I always like to start with, like, if I feel that it's safe and it's appropriate for me to engage in conversation, I'll just always start with like, how's your day going? And my mental thought is always treat them like they're my best friend.
I love that. Have you ever heard, and I know this is kind of like completely left field, but the concept of essentially potentially everybody you meet in your life is just another you.
Yeah.
If you believe in different timelines and stuff. So whenever I do meet a new person in any walk of life, in any environment, I just like to think I'm like, this is me. Like, I should be nice to this person. I don't know what they're going through. And that's just something that resonates with me, is it's just like, I'm speaking to myself, and how do I want to speak to myself? That's how I should speak to other people.
Yeah, that mirror effect.
Yeah, definitely. Have you always been like that, where you're just like, assess the situation, put your phone down? You seem like a very calm person, to be honest with you.
I get that a lot.
You're very zen, and it's very soothing.
Oh my gosh, thank you. One thing that has come up recently that I've been just sitting with is I read somewhere, or maybe it was said to me, but like who I am and how I show up when I feel safe is a very different Sarah that shows up when I don't feel safe.
Okay.
And so when I don't feel safe and my cortisol level goes up and my nervous system starts to kind of engage in a direction that makes me feel really uneasy, I'm not going to be grounded. So I think we all have these different multi-layers of different personalities going on, where the more safe you feel, the more engaged, the more grounded, the more present you can become. But if there's something really heightened activated going on, then it's going to be a different you version that shows up. And especially if you're not prepared, if you don't have the tools, if you don't have the skill sets to navigate those circumstances, then a very, very different you is going to show up.
Oh, definitely.
And all of that is part of the human experience, and all of that is okay. And I think, especially a lot of those parts, I think can also tend to come out in relationships, mostly in relationships, because they're the most intimate ones.
I say relationships are always mirrors, to be honest with you.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so one thing that I really learned, recently is how I show up when I feel safe is very much a different Sarah version of me when I don't feel safe. And I've been really just learning that with different people, like even people that are my friends. Something will happen, or, something will be going on. And I'm like, wow, like that's really activating and triggering. And okay, now my breath is more shallow. I feel like I'm a little bit more sharper in my tone, or maybe I'm speaking a little bit faster. Like I notice I'm starting to really practice engaging on what my body is doing along with my breath, and just navigating that and knowing that like it's okay for me to be this version of myself right now. And in fact, I don't think it's always, yes, I think while the idea of being zen and grounded is always really nice, at the same time, I think you need a little bit of the storm. It's like you can't, sometimes I need to let out these storms within me to get to the peace, because I've been withholding them. And, I like to call them like, we're all emotional hoarders. We're all emotional hoarders.
So true, though. So true.
And different people trigger and activate different parts of that within you, all for the purpose, I think, of helping you bring it to the surface so that you don't have to hold on to it anymore.
Mm.
And so, you know, when we're talking about like the human experience, it's like it's to witness and to live through all of that, and without any shame of like, oh, I'm going to call it bipolar or whatever these things are. And I'm like, I don't really believe that, because I think we're beyond any of these things. We're so multifaceted. You know,
Yes.
like who I was when I was a child was a very different me now, you know, and who I was growing up with my friends in my teenage years is a very different version of me now. And that's all beautiful and that's all okay. And I made very, very interesting, very questionable choices when I was younger. But does that make me a wrong person? I don't think so. I think it just makes me even that much more deeper and multifaceted as part of and it's because of that I'm able to then carry those experiences and make that deeper, more grounded choice of being like, okay, how do I want to be today? Knowing that it's going to be unexpected. And also knowing that, you know, tomorrow's never a guarantee. And yet we assume it is. Like even an hour from now is not guaranteed, and yet we assume it is. And so really just, I know we hear it all the time, but really like to be present. And even if that presence is like, I'm feeling like really anxious today.
That's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really love how you said that, to be honest with you, because I feel like oftentimes we can go on a spiral of how we're acting, how we're feeling, and how we shouldn't be feeling this way or how we shouldn't be acting certain ways. And I'm the type of person where I'm like, I don't necessarily believe in bad or good anymore. I don't believe in bad emotions. I don't believe in good emotions. Yeah, there are things that we might like more than others, but I do believe that when something does trigger you, it's an opportunity for growth. It's an opportunity for you to reflect and say, hey, this is a teaching. Like it's either teaching me how to like become more of myself, how to feel more connected with whatever you want to feel connected with, or also like how to move forward. If you are triggered by something or like envy, for instance, that might mean that you want something like that. And instead of being envious of this person, go within you and find out how to get that and move forward in the right way. I do believe there's all these beautiful messages. So I don't believe in the bad. I love when I hit a wall, because usually that's pain and that uncomfortableness is what I need for the momentum to move me forward. And I feel like oftentimes we can judge ourselves so deeply for having these emotions because they've been labeled.
Yeah.
But I feel like the second that we realize this is all part of the human experience and it's all serving us in some way, shape, and form if we choose to let it, that's when hopefully, I'm not saying you're going to be this unquote unquote ideal person where you're just happy and joyous all the time. But I do think we're able to move forward a little bit better and a little bit more consciously and make choices that are best for us as well as everybody else around us. So I think that's really, really beneficial. Do you ever catch yourself judging yourself for having an emotion?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
All the time. Yeah. And, you know, this year has been really beautiful in terms of like, I really stepped into mentorship and I really stepped into leadership. And I was very conscious of the mentors and the people that I really, really wanted to work with. In particular, you know, men, I really wanted to focus on really only working with activated men that are married, that are successful people in all facets of life, not just, you know, holding a relationship, but also holding a marriage, you know, being a best friend, being a good parent, successful in business. Because I also realize like how we view our finances is directly correlated to our emotional experience.
Oh, definitely.
You know, like stress is a big thing when it comes to finances for most people. So even bridging that gap between, okay, this is my perspective that I was taught as a child of money and how it's actually led to making me feel a certain way. I'm like, oh, that's actually not true. And like really stepping out of what I was grown up in and stepping into a new dimension where I'm like, oh, okay, these are people that are doing it, that have figured it out, and that are sharing what they've figured out to help others and to be of service. And they're not saying it's one or the other. In fact, you can have it all when there's balance, when there's cooperation, when there's community, when you have the right people with the right cooperation, with the right, you know, everything, with the right tools, basically. Like it does happen and it does exist. So I've been really like taking myself to the next level in terms of like, okay, what is my next steps in life and what really matters to me? What are some of the things that I am ready to let go and can let go of, and it's okay to let go of them.
Mm-hmm.
That I no longer need to hoard them, you
Yeah.
know, in a sense. So yeah, this year's been, and I also think this year's been quite intense. Like, I don't know about you, but it is the year of the snake. It is the last number in
Yes.
numerology. We start all over again next year. Like, it has been the year for me of ego death and just shedding, and moments of like pain, like quite painful.
Yeah.
And I feel emotional saying this. And yet it's been so beautiful of being so uncertain has led me to so many beautiful certain things. And, you know, sometimes we want to be so certain of things to control things because we don't think that we need the change or we require the change. And that's okay too. Some people really love staying in that lane.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like I was very much, you know, kind of living in this certainty and really, you know, wanting a little bit more flavor again and a little bit more uncertainty. And like this year came through and like it went from all uncertainty.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what's going to happen even tomorrow? I have no idea.
And that's okay.
Yeah, it's just going to work itself out if you just
Yeah.
allow it to work out. And I've never felt more at ease and least resistance than ever. And things have just been like popping out of nowhere. Like even this podcast, I was telling you earlier, I was like, in my mind, I knew I wanted to start being, you know, on podcasts. And then I had a message from you recently after. Like, it's just happening. I can't even make this up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm such a firm believer that you kind of just have to like speak what you want into the universe in a way, like have an idea, but have no idea also of how it's going to come to you. Just be very, very receptive.
Yeah.
And everything will eventually work itself out the way it's supposed to. And I can so relate to the whole like painful type of growth thing because a lot of times too, when you are like in this in between, right? You're becoming somebody you don't know. So instead of looking at it as like, oh my gosh, this sucks, I don't know what's going on, I'm confused. I feel grateful that every single day life gets to surprise me, as well as like you are becoming somebody that you've never been before. You do have to grow. It's growing pain. So it's going to be uncomfortable. But I like to keep in mind, oddly enough, this year is the year of the snake, a lot of shedding. Next year's the year of the horse, is from my understanding, which means you shed all that stuff. It's time for you to move forward with momentum, in a sense. So I find that to me comforting. And it took me a long time though to see the grand scheme of things and the purpose behind all the pain in a way. So, and also learning to let go. Learning to let go is extremely hard. We all feel so comfortable in the known. Our bodies are just trying to keep us safe, but a lot of times that comfortableness is also keeping us stagnant.
Yeah.
So, what do you suggest for people who are like, I want to learn to let go?
I think what's worked for me is first identifying what's yours and what's not.
Okay.
Because I think most of what we need to let go of is not even ours to begin with.
In what aspect? Elaborate a little bit.
Like habits, our patterns, you know, like a great example, like my former standard belief was nothing that I made up. It was taught to me
Yeah, definitely.
by people who were doing their best because that's what was taught to them. You know, I call it like false identities. Once you can identify your false identities, then it gets clear on what exactly you can let go. Because once you identify that it's actually not you and it's not yours and it never has been, that somewhere along the way that you just chose to think or you gave permission on a deep level that actually this is mine, or maybe I'll take it on so that I can see my parents be happy for one moment. Or, you know, it's like we take on these conditions and these standards that aren't even ours.
Yeah.
So I would say most of people's suffering, including mine, have been identifying what is mine and what is not. And I would say majority of the stuff has been letting go of what was never mine to begin with. I just, along the way, accepted them as mine through survival or through, you know, fawning or through shock or whatever
Yeah, you're
experiences.
conditioning your environment. As
Yeah.
kids, we're sponges. Like,
Yeah.
we really don't know. I mean, we know a lot, but we don't know this whole like world we just got introduced to, right? So we learn how to act, what we should necessarily value or not value, as well as what's considered normal based on our environment. But
Yeah.
oftentimes when we're kids too, our environment is so small. Like, you are usually just confined to like your immediate family, your community that's
Hmm.
around you. But as an adult, you do have the conscious choice to either stay where you're at or decide to explore this big, beautiful world. That's why I think social media it does cause so much anxiety, to be honest with you, because there is comparison. And I've recently heard somebody say that anxiety is a thing because before, you could, at least in public and in these different areas, right, you put on a mask to kind of fit in, especially as a child, because we all just want to fit in and we all want to feel accepted. But now social media has made it so where people feel like they can't take off that mask.
Yeah.
So I do see that part of it not being good. But to me, when I look at social media too, I'm like, there are other people out there experiencing different things, and we can actually connect with people in different lifestyles and different outlooks all over the world. So as you do grow to be an adult, you get to choose who you want to be. And for me, what really hit was like, yes, seeing what belongs to me, but like switching my values
Hmm.
is something that I really had to do. And a lot of times we think values are very black and white, but like, you have to get down to like the why underneath the why, because a lot of times even something you value might be masked by like something your ego is trying to protect. I think it is a lot of deep internal work to find out exactly what resonates with you. And it's a lovely journey to go on, to be honest with you. But
Yeah.
I say be patient with yourself and take time. That's the thing, is like the patience, and everybody wants things right away. It's a journey. The
Yeah.
human experience is a journey.
Yeah.
And I do hope that, as scary as it is, I never stop learning, because every time I learn something, honestly, like my mind's blown in the most like crushing way, but amazing way.
Yeah.
So I'm also curious too, what are some things that you've learned to kind of let go of? What's something before that you fought so hard to hold on to, and when you finally let go, you're like, oh my gosh.
Mm. Was something that I've learned to let
Yeah,
go.
or something you recently found you were like, I didn't even know this was me, but this is me.
Yeah, I think one thing that I've learned is my capacity for really enjoying like community,
Mm.
because my old patterns was thinking and feeling like I had to do everything on my own. And no wonder I was so stressed and constantly engaged in just that level of frequency too, and that led to also the environment in which I'm in. Like, I've never had more deeper relationships and friendships and community that I've ever had in my entire life till this year.
Mm.
Like, just I'm part of like 8 different communities. And I'm like, and it doesn't feel overwhelming at all, which has been really, really beautiful. I've never enjoyed being around so many wonderful people. And I think that's also the key too, is not just being around a group of people, but being surrounded by an amazing people where you're all uplifting each other, because it is a frequency, it is a
It
vibration.
is.
And I was just a couple days ago out of town. I was invited to speak on a panel for this really wonderful tech company, and it became pretty evident very quickly how they really want to be towards their employees and their members. And it was like me and 2 other people that had been asked to come and speak on this panel, just to get the perspective of like what members want. And I'm thinking to myself, what corporate company does this where they're willing to fly members out and ask, like, how can we genuinely support you? How can we genuinely like engage in what you as members want to see within our app? Is so amazing. And apparently, based on all of our shares, like, it got quite emotional. There are moments where after I heard, like, I guess people had gotten a little bit teary-eyed, but I'm like, wow, like that's the human connection. That's the
Yeah,
authenticity. That's the spirit, you know?
definitely.
But kind of going back to your question, like, I think once I let go of the story that I have so much to offer and I have really big love, that there's nothing to be scared of in sharing, my journey, or sharing my gifts, or sharing what I have to offer, like even the sound bath thing, like, it's very quite new for me. And yet I enjoy so much of it. And I know I'm going to grow even more into it.
Yeah.
but I'm just having fun with it at the same time because I know it's a calling that has come to me this year of like uplifting the human consciousness through frequency and through sound. And wherever that's going to lead me, like it's going to lead me, and I don't need to do anything other than just allow it to happen and just be in that faith of it all. Like there's nothing to resist. It's already happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that is so beautiful. For one, I really love how you said have fun with it.
Yeah.
Because even when you're trying something new too, though, like you're going into a community, you're trying a new skill, you're just stepping out of your comfort zone a little bit. We love to get in our mind and think we have to do everything perfectly.
Yeah.
And I'm such a firm believer, when you're just having fun with it, like even if you're not doing it quote unquote perfectly, people can tell and it resonates with a lot of people. And it's just a more free flowing type of energy.
Yeah.
Like allow yourself to mess up, allow yourself to just have fun with it and experience it. And I also do love that company that you just said, the panel you sat on. I think that's the direction I just hope everybody moves forward with, especially because so many of us spend so much time at our jobs, right?
Yeah.
And that's a huge influence on your mental health and how you move in this world. Because it's like if that's 8 hours of your day and you're surrounded in an environment that doesn't allow you to like have emotions and speak your mind and think of creative ways for everybody to flourish and support one or another, I feel like that can really impact every other area of your life as well, regardless if it's with your children, your family, your romantic relationships, even your community. If you're going to a job that doesn't support you and doesn't make you feel good, I will say, I think if you're trying to make more friends and find that community, it's going to be a little difficult. So I really just have hope that I see the same thing you're kind of seeing. I have heard of a few companies that are more like, how can we best support our employees and make this feel like a community versus just we're making a dollar or we're selling something, So I'm really hopeful and I'm grateful to see how that progresses. And I do think the first step is having conversations like this and having people like you that are so within yourself and you do genuinely care about people coming and speaking and sharing these insights. I think a lot of people like to say, I'm curious your perspective before I say this, actually. What do you think the state of the world is in right now?
I mean, that's very much perspective. My perspective is that it is exactly on time and it's exactly what it gets to be.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's making you feel how you don't want to feel, then you can either choose to step out of it and choose a different state, or you can stay inside it and be stuck in the drama. It's kind of up to you. I made a decision that I was going to go completely off of anything political news related because I engaged on how it made me feel. And I'm like, I cannot serve at the level that I want to serve, at the level that I know I get to serve, that I desire to serve, at my highest good, being engaged in this. It's a relationship. It's like a relationship. Mm-hmm. What are you willing to tolerate? And what are you willing to engage in? And it all comes down to a feeling. Like, is it making you feel stressed? Is it making you activated? Is it making you get upset and angry, which then turns into like, being sharp at your kids, or, like if it's turning you into someone or something that you don't like, then why would you engage in that energy? And, rather than watching or listening to the news, my news are like these really beautiful, what I consider to be OG people in their field, like astrologers, the Deborah Silverman, the Pamela Gregory, Heather Ensworth, Lee Harris, even this really Elizabeth April, like I love her. She's this amazing certified remote viewer. Like they are my news of really what not just the world is going through, but what the entire universe is going through, what the planets are going through together in unison. So I like to look at it from a more, kind of bigger, broader perspective. Definitely. And even if I'm hearing something, like it's all seasonal, it's all shifts, it's all a transition, it's all a phrase, nothing is permanent, and it doesn't take away my peace. It doesn't take away how I'm going to navigate my day. But if I start out first thing in the morning engaging in something that pulls you into the drama or pulls you in, and then an hour later you're still in bed on your phone, to me that's not very productive. And they actually have even done studies that, I think it was a TED Talk that I listened to, that if you that your productivity level went down by 20% if that's the first thing you did right when you woke up is looked at your phone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've also heard a few like statistics where your brain's most influential first thing in the morning and last
Yeah,
thing at
you're
night.
vulnerable.
So
Yeah.
be very, very careful about what you are consuming. And kind of what you're getting down to is it's all a conscious choice.
Yeah.
It's like realizing what's actually like being in your body and being able to sit with that and being like, hey, I don't feel so good today. What did I do that doesn't make me feel so good? Or, hey, I actually feel really good this morning. What did I do and how can I repeat that habit to make me show up better and make me have a more positive outlook? And to kind of like go back on my question is what state do you think the world is? And I'm like, based off of what you said about that company, based off of how you're like, I'm choosing to be like this and hang out in communities like this. A lot of people would argue, oftentimes it's probably the people who start their day doom scrolling or watching the news. They say that the world is in chaos.
Of course, because that's what you're engaged in.
Yeah.
But, I just got back from Japan a month and a half ago. Maybe it's 2 months now. And in the forest, this like sacred forest of Japan, an area that I had never even been to growing up there. And what is the environment of nature?
Yeah.
It's peace. And that's all I felt. That's all I was influenced by. That's all I observed. That's all I absorbed in my system down to a very cellular level. Like that was my reality in that moment.
Yeah.
And nothing else mattered. So, and then on the flip side, it's like, then I go to the city and then that completely shifts. And that can happen within an hour because where I was at in nature was about only an hour from Tokyo.
Even here in LA.
Yeah.
You go out to the mountains, like your retreat, absolutely gorgeous. We were on a farm surrounded by so much beauty and so much nature. But then, yeah, we drive back home an hour away and we're in a city again.
Yeah, for sure. I think, like you're talking about choice a lot and it's very true. You get what you focus on.
Definitely.
Period. So if you're only engaged in chaos, that is your reality. That is your felt emotion. And you are right. You are absolutely right because that's what you're engaged in. You're right.
That's why when I think of the state of the world, to be honest with you, as old me probably would have said like, this is rough, but now I see so much beauty in every single moment. Yeah. I'm actually like very hopeful and very grateful because I choose to have conversations like this. I choose to see the beauty in absolutely everything. I choose to put myself in environments that are going to make me grow and that choose to see the magic in the world. I choose to surround myself with good people who want to build each other up and not tear each other down. And even if there is some criticism in any way, shape, or form, we know it's coming from love and we just want each other to do what's best. Because it's a fact though, like we do live in a world where there's all these different realms, right? There's all these different like environments, but I think it's how you choose to show up and what you choose to see the most of. And cities, it's definitely harder. So I will say anybody, if you're looking to feel more grounded, go to nature. But I think it's so cool now how even when I'm in a city, the people I'm hanging out with in the city are all going to yoga. We're all we're getting out of like the buildings and taking a walk on the beach. We're all talking about these things. So it's like, it is possible. You don't have to uproot your life, but you just have to decide what you want to see more of and genuinely believe in it. Yeah. Because it's out there.
Oh, for sure. And we're never out of options.
No, never. There's so many options.
So many options, especially when you get to a place where you're open to receiving guidance and support. Like to me, my perspective is when I have the entire universe at my disposal, why would I act like I have no resources? Because this year has proven that I am full of resources. And if I need guidance, I ask for guidance, I ask for support, and it has been 100% given and beyond, like beyond what I can even comprehend. It's like I'll ask, assistance for something and then I get like double of what I asked for, or, I'll gain a new client, or, it's my perspective is completely shifted in terms of like who and what is actually guiding me. And once I realized that, wow, like I have an entire army. And sometimes it could just be like a loved one that have passed. I very much believe in the spirit world.
Yeah, you got angels all around you.
Yeah. And it's like, why is it called guardians and guardian angels if they weren't guarding something so special? And I think that's another thing too, is like we underestimate how special we are as humans. I went to a Greg Braden conference recently, and he was such a beautiful man. He was so profound and really speaking on like how important and how wonderful and how special we are as humans, and to really protect that human existence and that human identity. And I like him too because he also, like, comes from this very beautiful scientific perspective. I also like Joe Dispenza for that reason too.
Mm-hmm.
He's amazing. Um, but yeah, it's like, wow, like we as humans are so special. And yeah, it's like when you can really step into that humanness, then anything's possible. And I think, we talk about gifts too, right? It's like, I believe we all have different gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And I just look at, the entire human existence is like puzzle pieces. It's like, okay, you have a gift and I have a gift, and we're just going to put our pieces together. And when they connect, it just sparks. It just creates magic.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree with that. I've had definitely like a few spiritual experiences, to say the least, where I genuinely believe that everything is just kind of, and that's not to say like don't move forward with intention and just sit still, but I definitely believe things are always just like working out kind of how they're supposed to. And one of the experiences that I had was I was kind of like talking to a spirit guide, and they're like, do you realize how lucky you are to have all these emotions, to have all these experiences? They're like, feel them as deeply as possible, because like that's what it's all about, and that's what's going to get you to the places that you want to go, or the places that you didn't even know you needed or wanted, but you're going to be happy that you did.
Yeah.
To me, like, I've just had one too many where I'm like, oh my gosh, moments where it doesn't make sense
And you can't make it up.
but it makes complete sense, like physically in my body. You know what I mean? So I really love that you said that. My motto for next year, the year of the horse, is literally like, it's in God's hands, to be honest with you.
Love that.
And yeah, people hear that and they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, it's in God's hands. God knows everything, fully abundant. And I'm like, and I have faith.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm like, my faith is so strong where I'm just excited, to say the least.
And when I think of a horse, because I grew up with horses and I've had the opportunity to see wild horses, and even like they allowed me to kind of go into their space. And I had this one colt come up, and it was like a whole like trip. But when you actually witness free horses just like running, like I think the year of the horse to me is sovereignty. It makes me, think of like courage, grace.
I was going to say, they're also very gentle creatures for the most part, but
So
when you watch them go,
gentle.
they go.
Yeah, so gentle and very communal.
Yeah.
Like very loving, very communal. And yeah, they're so intuitive. There's like equestrian therapy and all these things. So when I think of the horse, I'm like, wow, that's like going from a snake to a horse is pretty like on opposite spectrums, it seems like, but it's really not, because if this has been the year of the shedding, then it would make sense that if you have been showing up and doing the work, then wow, like if you're going to step into that horse, like that's going to be pretty profound. I mean, I can say there's just this kind of knowing this year, because I felt very pulled in just kind of like, go here, go here, go here, work with this person, get guidance from this person and all these things, get in with this community, show up for this. And I told this to a few people this year, like I have not scheduled my life at all this year.
I love that though.
Like it's been so divinely orchestrated.
Yeah.
Back to back to back to back. It would be like, yeah, I can't even explain it because I didn't do anything. I just showed up and things are just happening. And, I finally feel like in the past couple months, things have finally started to get grounded and like more settled. But I do know without a doubt that everything that I've chosen to do and allowed to happen for me, like the seed has been planted.
Yeah.
And so next year, the year after, like I am so, like this time next year, I am very, very excited.
Yeah.
Like I'm so excited. Yeah.
Well,
and I've
said
never
the
felt
seed's
this
been
way.
planted. It's like no rain, no flowers,
Yeah.
And I really love how you kind of just said, you're like, I allowed it to happen to me, but I love how you're also like, you're receptive to it. That's the thing. And you have the courage and the faith to like go along with the flow and where life takes you. Because I do think that's key also, is being receptive, because I do think there's signs that all around, but like you were saying, it's a choice to either move or it's a choice to stay still. You make the choice of what you want to do.
Yeah. And, you know, last year I was really stuck. And, you know, it's hard to take action when you're stuck. And so, you know, coming into this year, I knew I wanted to get back to my work. I knew that things needed to kind of evolve and move again. And so once they did, it's been like just go. Like there was no stopping it, just flow.
I'm so curious to see where this next year takes you. If you're saying right
Yeah.
now it's even flow when it's go,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, 2026.
And I also feel like too, and I don't know if you felt this, because I feel like you have very specific gifts of like intuition, which I think is also just very innate for being like a woman and just having a womb, you know,
Yeah.
to be a woman. And one of the things that I am really learning to own, because I've always noticed that it was there, but this year something about it was different. And I'm really learning to own my instincts, and not just instincts, because that sounds pretty basic, but like my actual intuitive psyche. Like things will come to me, whether it's a download, whether it's a vision, or whether it's just intuitive knowing, and I'll go with it. And then in a very short period of time, I'm proven that it was right, or that things
Definitely.
have shown up where I was like, oh, okay, like I wasn't wrong, and I wasn't like making things up. Like it actually ended up, the evidence ended up being there. And so I'm really learning like, okay, like I think this is part of me. Something's been activated within me where I'm really learning to hone in and really believe in my abilities and my gifts. And it doesn't have to come with an explanation all the time. It can just be what it is. And so I think just sitting in that like stillness, but again, I think we forget, like, it's boring to be still all the time too. Like you got to move, and it's
I
okay
think
to
that's
have
more
chaos.
uncomfortable,
And
to be honest with you. It's like
Yeah.
I've learned to genuinely appreciate the chaos.
Yeah.
Like there's moments for peace, but I'm also that like, because I'm either high energy where I walk into a room, I'm smiling and everybody sees it, or I can be very low.
Yeah.
And I've learned to really appreciate both, because in the low moments I get a lot of downloads, but in the high moments is where I get the most momentum, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I can definitely relate to the intuition thing, because the only reason I'm even sitting here on this couch having this conversation with you is because a little voice in my head 5 years ago, to be completely honest with you. And right now, this year for me has been like, yes, I know that I have intuition, but it's owning that and
Yeah.
trusting it, even when it does not make any sense, because that's the thing in this world we live in. A lot of times the lack mindset where this is going to cost money, this is going to cost time, this is going to be draining. That's what will prevent you from listening to your intuition.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm like, I give it up to God, because that stuff doesn't exist. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So that's been my thing this year, is like harnessing the intuition and trusting it, even if it does seem a little like wonky, which is fine.
But it's actually quite normal,
Exactly. That's what
you know?
to the old me, I guess, you know, and once again, it's based on your environment. I'm from Chicago. I grew up in an environment which I love my family, and this is still, I feel like, prevalent to a lot of the world, but it's like, you have to work hard. You have to do the logical thing, like very analytical, where now I'm embracing where I'm like, listen to your heart and let the head find out how it goes, but don't come from a lack mindset. You are fully abundant. And I do think that when you own your humanness, we're capable of honestly like godlike things. We are so magical and like so capable. And one of the million things, so many people have done things that you call them crazy, you say aren't possible. So why can't you?
Yeah.
That's just been what I've really been trying to hone into lately.
Yeah. I mean, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for someone believing in what others thought wasn't available.
Exactly.
Like our clothes, our cell phones, you know, all this beautiful like technology, like someone thought of it, and you're always going to have contrast. Like that's just the part of the balance. Like you're always going to have contrast. I remember a long, long time ago, I wrote on Facebook because when I was really, really young, there was a part of me that was like, I want to be a model and I want to be an actor and I want to go to LA. And I'm actually born in LA. I'm from LA originally. And so when I moved to LA and start booking work and, you know, started working with amazing clients and wonderful opportunities, And I remember looking back, just all of the, not all, but there were very specific people, like even family members that were like, you're too short, you're too fat, um,
Yeah.
your skin tone, you'll never be that. And I just remember, and this was years ago, I remember writing, or it was like, I also grew up very Christian. And so I received messages like, I think you should repent, just kind of along the lines of like, what you're doing is not godlike, or what you're doing goes against the religion or goes against their standards. It has nothing to do with me. And I just remember I had a choice in that moment. I could either imagine, had I listened, like we wouldn't, this moment, this opportunity wouldn't be here. It would look something different.
Yeah.
And so, and on Facebook years ago, I remember writing like, thank you to everyone who doubted me and everything that I'm now loving and doing, because I just simply chose to believe in myself and just go for it. Like, thank you to everyone that said I wasn't capable, that I wasn't this, that I wasn't that. Just like, thank you, because you guys became the ultimate motivation. You guys became that push. And now, the same people, I don't get any of those pushbacks, because now they just see it.
Yeah.
And then I'm also grateful at the same time for all of my friends who always believed in me, which were a lot of my high school friends. They're like, man, Sarah, like, you went out and you did exactly what you said you were going to do, exactly what you said. You've been talking about it since high school.
Yeah.
Like, you did it. I actually had a friend, because I used to work in the corporate world for sales, and such a beautiful, like, I actually need to call him and say hi. But he was, at the time, he worked for a gym, and the company had a membership through the gym. And so he would come in as a representative, just to like help sign up people, employees.
Yeah.
And I think he had written me this beautiful letter thanking me that I did, like, that I just went and pursued what I said that I was going to do years ago, because we'd have conversations back at the corporate world in the office of like, this is what I want to do. And I guess we don't understand the impact our choices have until we do.
Yeah.
It wasn't until years later that I realized, like, wow, like, me choosing to do what I wanted to do, I thought this was just about me. No, me actually choosing to do what I wanted to do actually created impact, because I'd been talking about it for so long.
Yeah.
And it left an imprint.
That. Definitely. I'm such a firm believer where it's like, even if you're focusing on yourself, focus on yourself, because you never know the people that are watching and the impact it's going to make. Like, you did it for you, but you're inspiring other people.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, I do feel like we're all like so interconnected in a way. And if you think that you're alone in this world, like, even if you want to be, you're truly not. And that I find comforting. And I just like, honestly, thank you for choosing to do that. That's the thing, is like, choose you. You're also helping other people choose themselves. And it's all just like, it's a connected thing. I firmly believe that.
Yeah.
And I could talk to you honestly for hours. I feel like we could go on so many tangents. But to kind of close out, if you could give one message to the world right now, what would it be?
Oh my gosh, to the world.
Yeah.
And this may sound really cliche to some, but honestly, through just my own shedding, and it's really simple, just like, choose love.
I love that.
Just, what else is there? Like, choose love. It's the holidays, and I think a question that I learned a long time ago from a friend of mine was, are you trying to be right, or are you trying to be happy? And, like, in this, the year is almost ending, and there's a lot of activity right now, emotionally, physically, people are going shopping, doing all these things. I mean, what else is there when we just choose love and community?
Well, that's what the holidays are supposed to be about, is it not? It's community and love and being with each other. It's just, you pick the holiday you want to be a part of. Do you want to be part of the consumerism and get caught up in the hype, or do you want to actually resonate with what it's actually about and live in that moment and like give love and appreciate? That's what the holidays is about, is enjoying the company and giving like great, like, thanks for everything.
Yeah. And not knowing that you have to wait for the holiday
Yeah.
to come to act in that manner.
So true.
That every day gets to be full of gratitude. It's a practice. It's a practice. It's not perfectionism. I choose to practice gratitude every day. I choose to practice breathing every day. I don't think people realize that the average person breathes very shallow, which is probably part of the stress.
Mm-hmm.
You're dead when you've stopped breathing. Like oxygen is so important, but yeah, just in general, just, choose love. Even if it takes you a minute to get there, just focus on, if love's too broad, then focus on gratitude.
Definitely.
Like, this is something that, a mentor of mine taught me, like, even be grateful for the ability to pay for your bills. Like, have gratitude in the fact that you can pay for rent, or that you get to
have a
pay
roof over your head, that you have water, that you're like
not
living
just
in a
things
place
that
where
are
you feel
easy.
safe. Yeah, definitely.
Like, I'm so grateful that I get to pay for my groceries right now. I'm grateful that I get to pay for my phone, because that means that I can continue having conversations with the people that I care about in my community and be able to post things. It's even the things that we don't realize gets to have gratitude, I think, especially with money during this time of the year.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm working on. Love.
Sarah, thank you so much for being here with me and just offering that insight and your perspective. Truly, I loved this conversation, and I feel like a lot of people are going to be able to grow from it. So I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for listening. Until next time, I love you.